Despite Trump winning Ohio by more than 8 percentage points in November, that state has now become the latest to introduce a major voter suppression bill. Ohio's bill will place severe restrictions on ballot drop boxes and absentee voting, just like bills signed into law in Georgia and Florida. The Texas House also just passed a Republican bill tightening voting rules. States like Arizona and Michigan are also considering limits. According to the Brennan Center for Justice report released last month, 47 states have considered more than 360 bills that will restrict voting. Ohio now becomes number 48. Joining me now is the co-founder of the Black Voter Matter Fund, Latosha Brown. Ms. Brown, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Some people have called these new voter suppression acts a new form of Jim Crow. Do you agree with that assessment?
You know, to a certain extent, I actually don't know if they're really new. I think they're a modern take on it, but fundamentally, this is what we have been fighting. This is absolutely Jim Crow. You know, this is what we have been fighting for years. What we're seeing right now in the voter suppression bills, this is precisely what led to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. There are attempts that are being led right now and laws being signed into office that the Republicans are using to really be able to restrict access to the ballot and actually to be punitive. That this year there were historic numbers of not just only Black voters, but what we saw is we saw democracy in action. And so what they're saying is that fundamentally they don't believe in democracy and they're willing to do whatever they need to do to restrict access to the ballot.
You mentioned that similar efforts led to the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Do you believe that voting rights legislation will make it through the House and the Senate and onto the president's desk this year?
Well, I am very, very hopeful for that. You know, when we're looking at SB1, when we're looking at For the People Act, there are two opportunities we have currently right now. We have For the People Act, and we also have the John Lewis Voter Advancement Act. Both of those acts, had they been in place, many of these voter laws that we're seeing that just passed in Florida and Georgia, you know, and some of the things that we're seeing in Arizona and Ohio, they would not pass the muster around that. What we have seen is that on the state legislative level, that the GOP is actually using the fact that they have control on many of these houses in these states, that they have a majority, and they're using that to really be able to create and to legislate, in many ways, the administrative process of voting to really be able to legislate marginalizing voters. And we're going to need federal legislation. So right now in the Senate, there's an opportunity to really be able to push and pass the Senate to adopt this For the People Act and the John Lewis Advancement Act. I do think that it's going to require the Senate ending the filibuster, you know, but let's talk about what happened with the circumstances right now. This administration that is in office was propelled by Black voters. Biden is the president of the United States because Black voters in South Carolina literally propelled him to become the Democratic nominee. Black voters actually helped propel, you know, when we're talking about in those swing states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Georgia, where the engine behind literally being able to have that vote where he actually went into office, and we're saying gave him the absolute best circumstances to govern under. So what we're going to expect, we expect voting rights. We expect that those voting rights are not just used to get the Democrats in power, but in fact, they're actually placed that our power, you know, is placed in a way that our rights are protected. This should not be a partisan issue. We are allowing the Republicans to frame this as if voting rights is as a partisan issue. This is a civil rights, human rights issue.
Right. I take that point, but let's assume Joe Manchin holds. We don't get rid of this filibuster, and we don't even have there's not even 50 Democrats on the same side. Let's say that these bills do not make it through the Senate. How do groups like yours help those Black voters that you were just talking about having turned this election fight back?
I think that we have to look at three things. Let me say this, that one thing about structural racism in America, it is quite consistent. And you can actually, whenever there's been Black progress, there's been white backlash. And so part of the work that we've been doing, that's why it's not been centered around election, but it's really around organizing power. And so there are a couple of ways that we've been looking. That one, we have to organize and educate our community, that we're holding folks accountable on the local level and also on the state level. And we're seeing some of our groups that are actually working on folks who have been sponsoring these bills to make sure that their contracts, that their businesses that know that we're not playing with them, that literally we're calling for the rescission of some of those statewide bills, that on the federal level that we're putting pressure on both on our House members and our Senate, that fundamentally we expect Congress and we expect this administration to deliver, and actually taking this fight to the courts. But I think fundamentally what we're seeing is we want transformative change. It's not going to end on one election cycle. This fight is not over, and many of us have been saying that in getting rid of Trump or those who thought that we're going to open back up and then we had democracy. The truth of the matter is democracy, as it's spelled out in the Constitution, has never been achieved. That has been aspirational at best. And so the work that we have to do right now, the voter suppression is not the only issue that attacks democracy. We have to literally put in much stronger policy to actually make sure that we achieve the democracy that is laid out in the Constitution, because we've not achieved that.
Do you believe that, as you mentioned, you have to put pressure on corporations? Do you believe that they can have some influence on these state legislatures by saying that they won't do business there, or by issuing statements that say that they disapprove of what's happening?
Absolutely. I mean, at the bottom line, what we've seen all kind of legislation that has passed that has been in the benefit of corporations. We've actually seen corporations when in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, the abortion bill, it was when corporations got involved in that literally we saw the abortion bill fizzled out. We saw the same thing when we talked about the LGBTQ bill that was actually in North Carolina. So they have a measure of power. And I do believe that when we're talking about democracy, that's not an issue that should be the burden of Black people to carry on our backs, but that is fundamentally democracy is good for business. And so those businesses have a responsibility. We are consumers, that we are working them as management, we're part of their boards, but more importantly, that literally we have to recognize the foundation of democracy and the fragility of that we're experiencing democracy in this country is going to take every single sector has to step up and say that voter suppression, one, we're not going to allow the Republicans to hijack this discussion around democracy and make voter suppression seem as if it becomes a partisan tool issue. And secondly, that we're going to not only fight against the restriction of democracy, but we're going to even push harder. And so part of this is actually for us to radically reimagine what is possible and to push, not just even with the legislation that we have. So as you were saying, perhaps let's say if we don't have the bill to pass, SB 1 for the People Act, and the John Lewis Voting Restoration Act. The work still has to be done, and we're still going to have federal legislation. So we will continue to organize, we will continue to build our power, we will continue to actually put pressure and put people in office that align with the strategy and the agenda that we have, and take people out who are not aligned with democracy and the strategy that we have.
Now, not all of these voter suppression laws will pass, and there are, in fact, something like 112 voter expansion laws being proposed right now. What do you think the net effect will be in the midterm elections of what is happening around voting in America right now?
I think if Georgia is an indicator, one of the interesting things that I think happens oftentimes with the Republicans is oftentimes they go too far. What we saw and we experienced, I think Georgia can actually be possibly could be a predictor of what is possible in the midterm elections if we're organizing our power. That fundamentally what happened in 2018, the outcome, that was an election that many of us in Georgia felt that race was stolen. Right. But instead of that being a race that actually discouraged voters, we came back 2 years. We used as an opportunity to even organize greater. We used as an opportunity to actually activate and engage more people in the process, because when they saw the unfairness, when they saw the injustice, when they saw this blatant this racism play itself out in terms of voter suppression, that we were able to engage people even greater. I think we're going to see the same thing in the midterm election. That as we're talking to people, I get phone calls every day in Texas every day of people saying how it is that we can be involved. How can we help? Like, what is it that we can do? I think we can actually organize ourselves that in this midterm election, we can send a loud and clear message that we're not going back. We're not going to march across any more bridges, that we're going to move forward. And literally, we're going to have a system of democracy. And if this is not going to be a legitimate system, then what we have to do is organize and envision what will be the kind of process and the kind of framework that is going to guarantee that our rights are not up for a part of a political toying in a partisan discussion.
Latosha Brown, thank you so much. Very enlightening conversation. I hope we have you back several times because this does not look like it's going away. It looks like it's marching across the country. Thank you so much for your time.